The early morning sun peeked over the horizon as Violet Brooks arrived at the race venue, her breath slightly heavy from the jog she had taken to clear her head. She wore simple, dusty sneakers and a relaxed athletic ensemble, a slight sheen of sweat glistening on her forehead. The polished venue stood in stark contrast to her casual appearance. Banners fluttered in the breeze, and sleek facilities buzzed with activity as impeccably dressed staff milled about. As Violet made her way through the maze of tents and tables, she felt the weight of curious and judgmental eyes. The chatter around her quieted momentarily, replaced by exchanged glances that assessed her as someone entirely out of place amid the sparkling professionalism. But years of navigating skeptical gazes had taught her the art of maintaining focus. Marcus, the race organizer known for his sharp tongue and unwarranted confidence, noticed her approach with a smirk. His eyes flicked over her from head to toe, immediately deciding she was another unimportant volunteer. With a token of sarcasm, he gestured dismissively toward the sleek row of bicycles awaiting the day's riders. "Hey there," he called out, his voice loud enough for others to hear. "Looks like you missed the memo on our dress code." "Perfect timing, though, we could use some help cleaning up these bikes. Best save the dust bunnies for the trail, if you know what I mean." Violet paused, the corners of her mouth curling into a polite smile as she absorbed the slight. "Right away," she replied smoothly, her eyes locking with Marcus's for a moment longer than necessary before she turned on her heel, making a beeline in the opposite direction from where he'd pointed. Violet walked calmly, her footsteps deliberate as she headed towards the HR tent, leaving Marcus's mockery behind. Her heart was steady. She had been through moments like this before, where assumptions would be challenged and perceptions dramatically altered. She moved amidst the growing buzz of event preparations, her eyes scanning the surroundings thoughtfully rather than in irritation. The HR tent was a hub of activity, bustling with the senior organizing committee members who were finalizing logistics before the main event. As Violet approached, she was greeted warmly by Paul, the race director and a respected figure in the cycling community. He smiled broadly, stepping out from behind a crowded table laden with schedules and paperwork. "Violet, so glad you could join us." "Perfect timing as always," Paul said, enveloping her in a quick, friendly hug. The rest of the committee members, recognizing her from previous event meetings, nodded with acknowledgement and welcome. As they settled into a circle of chairs to discuss the last-minute details, Marcus, unaware of the surrounding developments, busily replayed the morning encounter in his mind, growing more confident in his handiwork. "Yeah, I sent that new girl to handle the bikes," he boasted to a couple of volunteers wandering past the portable espresso cart, his voice carrying. "Should be good to see them shining like diamonds with a bit of elbow grease." The volunteers chuckled awkwardly, half-hearted in their amusement, but Marcus missed the nuance, assuming they shared his self-congratulatory satisfaction. Back in the HR tent, Violet was diligently sorting through sponsorship details and event schedules, keen on ensuring everyone's roles were clearly defined and well supported. Her transition to leadership at the race was important not just to her professional life, but her personal ambitions in reshaping how community events were perceived and organized. She had spent years investing in grassroots cycling initiatives, fostering a culture that valued participation and passion over exclusivity and elitism, values she would ensure were reflected today. Meanwhile, the preparations across the venue continued with an organized fervor. Tents were pitched, displays set up, and cyclists began gathering at the registration desk, each moment nudging the event closer to its grand start. Curiosity simmered among the staff. News of an official recognition for the sponsors had rippled through the ranks, though the details remained under wraps to add an element of surprise. Marcus, in his isolated circle of misplaced confidence, sauntered up to the starting line. He manipulated the crowd, ensuring his anecdotes carried to an eager audience. To some, he seemed a little too keen on brandishing authority, mistaking volume and attention for leadership. First event of the season. Marcus announced with an expansive gesture, leaning against a tent pole with a commanding presence. Keeping things tight, just like always. You know, there'll be a couple of new faces today, but we're sure they'll catch on quick. Especially our new volunteers, once they finish helping clean up. Everyone's gotta start somewhere, right? There was a ripple of laughter from a small group, affirming Marcus's misplaced belief that his oversight was universally appreciated, securing in his mind the illusion of his own indispensability. Back at the HR tent, Violet wrapped up her meeting with the organizing committee, the smile on her face a piece of her focused confidence. Paul walked her out, each step towards the main announcement area pulling her closer to yet another defining moment of her career. The crew's going to be very impressed with what you've got planned, Paul praised, gesturing around at the swelling crowds arriving for the event. A revamp like this, and someone with your vision, it's exactly what we need to make this stand out. I appreciate the trust, Paul, Violet said sincerely, scanning the familiar yet electric scene that unfolded around them. It's time to shake things up and bring in fresh ideas. Cycling at all levels should be accessible and inclusive, something I think today will demonstrate quite well. As they positioned themselves at the front stage near the starting line, Violet could feel the air vibrating with anticipation. Microphones hummed with feedback as they were tested, the audience a sea of eager faces waiting for the day's official kickoff. Paul took to the podium, his poised charisma drawing everyone's gaze. Welcome everybody to our annual spring race. Paul's voice boomed with enthusiasm, modulating perfectly to keep everyone engaged. We're excited to bring you an event that celebrates both the spirit of competition and the unity of the cycling community. This year, we've got a few exciting changes to share, inviting new possibilities and faces into our race family. Paul's introduction built momentum, the anticipation among the attendees palpable as he set the stage for the announcement. A special acknowledgement goes to our new race guide and visionary sponsor, who's bringing a transition into a new era for our race. Please welcome, Violet Brooks. The murmurs that rose were immediate and varied, some surprised, others confirming what they had suspected about the morning's mysterious visitor in dusty trainer attire. Marcus, casually leaning against the tent post, felt the color drain from his face as Violet stepped into view. His exaggerated assurance crumbled visibly, shocking recognition sharpening his features into a tense mask as he realized his error. The air around Violet, however, felt charged not with self-doubt, but possibility. As Paul's announcement hung in the air, heads collectively turned to catch her acknowledgement, transforming the skepticism with which she'd been met into a tangible respect. Marcus stood rigid, the humbling sense of his own fallibility sinking deep, as he braced for the unexpected fallout. The atmosphere at the race venue shifted as Violet stood on the stage, the unexpected turn of events capturing everyone's attention. A respectful silence enveloped the crowd, their enthusiasm momentarily stilled, curiosity piqued. The race participants and organizing members awaited Violet's words, aware that beneath her unassuming exterior lay a woman of substantial influence and vision. Marcus felt tethered to his spot beside the tent, his earlier confidence draining away like water through fingers. The realization that he had dismissed someone so pivotal to the event's success was both humbling and discomforting. His mind reeled, piecing together past snippets of office talk and whispered rumors he'd previously ignored about the driving force behind the race's revamp, none of which he'd accurately connected to the woman he'd treated dismissively just hours ago. Violet took a deep breath, her gaze sweeping across the faces that moments ago were clouded with doubt and dismissal. Drawing from her years of experience steering challenging conversations, she addressed the crowd with warmth and authority. "Thank you, Paul, for that generous introduction," she began, her voice steady and clear. "I'm honored to be here today both as a sponsor and as a fellow lover of cycling. My journey in this sport began not behind a desk, but on the trails and city streets where many of you find your passion. So, yes, I might have arrived dustier than expected, but I assure you, it's nothing a good ride can't justify." A ripple of laughter washed over the audience, the mood rebalancing from tension to camaraderie. Marcus watched, envious yet distinctly aware of the hole he had dug for himself that morning. The crew's previous snickers and admiration for his abrasive handling of Violet turned to whispered schadenfreude at his exposed error. As you all know, cycling isn't just an event, it's an embodiment of endurance and unity, Violet continued. Our commitment to this community is to redefine what it means to compete, to belong, and to flourish together. We're fostering an environment that prioritizes inclusive participation and innovation, ensuring everyone has the opportunity to shine, regardless of where they start or what they encounter along the way. There was no mistaking the slight glance in Marcus's direction as she spoke, a subtle yet definitive acknowledgement of the morning's earlier interactions. Violet's message was clear. To the few who missed the point, it was about regenerating a culture of respect and adaptability, leaving no room for hierarchies dictated by appearance or misjudged competence. The murmurs of acknowledgement and agreement that swept through the crowd reaffirmed Violet's standing. The race team, volunteers, and participants instinctively reoriented themselves to align with her vision. Moments earlier, perception morphed into respect and admiration. Having made her point succinctly yet emphatically, Violet ceded the stage back to Paul, her elegant demeanor unshaken by any of the day's tribulations. As the audience applauded, favor turned almost completely towards Violet with newfound appreciation. Unnoticed, Marcus made his way quietly from the front of the crowd towards a less conspicuous area of the venue, each step a reminder of the day's humbling lesson. He needed a moment to gather himself, recalibrate his strategy, contemplating how best to manage this personal slip, silently vowing to make necessary amends and adjustments. Paul resumed directing the event with seasoned expertise, guiding the proceedings seamlessly while ensuring the schedule remained on track. The stage was set, the energy revived as riders took to their positions, adrenaline-fueled excitement reigning supreme. Yet in this crucible of competitive spirit and communal celebration, Marcus nursed a bruised but not irredeemable ego. Reflecting on the morning's faux pas, he cycled through potential courses of correction, from straightforward apologies to more strategic overtures aimed at restoring his footing among his peers. As the starting gun fired, unleashing a spectacle of human velocity and nature's splendor, the rain of cheers and clinking of bike gears harmonized like an intricate symphony. It sang of both collective achievement and individual resilience, underscored by Violet's opening discourse, a turn of events that added thematic richness to the unfolding competition. Watching the race commence, Marcus saw glimpses of Violet's vision materialize along the course, the seamless movement of cyclists winding through the designed paths, a fitting analogy for the interconnectedness Violet championed. Realizing this was more than just a race but an initiative poised to redefine community engagement, he knew that to remain on the track of progress, personal growth was essential. Meanwhile, as the event progressed, staff conversations buzzed around Marcus's mishap, serving as both a cautionary tale and a point of sympathy against the backdrop of Violet's newfound triumph. Most were impressed by Violet's calm resilience and authoritative kindness, a juxtaposition to Marcus's initial abrasiveness. A direct remark from one of Marcus's colleagues, a friend who discreetly observed the entire fiasco, pierced through his reflective silence. "Tough break there, Marcus, but hey, might be time to rethink things a bit. Violet seems fair, though. You could start with an apology before heading deeper, maybe even learn a thing or two from all this." The advice, delivered with sincerity and devoid of sarcasm, resonated through Marcus's disheartened defenses. He knew it was both a criticism and an opportunity, the push he needed to recalibrate his approach towards genuine cooperation and respect, a shift Violet seamlessly exemplified. As the race carried on successfully, punctuated by moments of collective joy and spontaneous camaraderie, Marcus made an internal commitment to align with this renewed ethos. He would face Violet, offering more than mere contrition, embodying the very change the event symbolized, marked not by a grand apology, but a transformed trajectory of contribution to something larger than personal prestige, the shared endeavor of a community united by pedal, path, and purpose. The race proceeded with a vibrant energy, each cyclist and team member absorbed in their tasks, propelled by the invigorating atmosphere Violet had so deftly fostered. Standing on the stage once more, she observed the rolling waves of motion and determination, her heart swelling with the promise of what this event symbolized, a harmonious blend of competition and community. Her mind drifted momentarily to the journey that had brought her here, her years of experience on international circuits, the founding of her sports apparel company, and the many sponsorships she had championed. Each step had been deliberate, each decision reinforcing her belief in creating inclusive spaces in sports, a dedication now manifesting through her guidance at this race. As the racers breezed through the course, Paul joined her on the stage, both reveling in the success of the spirited proceedings. His reverence for her expertise was palpable, his gratitude for her influential role evident in his demeanor. "Violet," Paul began, gesturing to the endless flow of cyclists, "it's truly a testament to your vision that we're seeing such a vivid turnout today. The energy feels different, more open, more engaged. It's a mark of leadership I think we've all needed." "Thank you, Paul," Violet replied, modesty tinting her words. "There's nothing more rewarding than seeing this kind of shared engagement. It's the culmination of so many efforts, dreams of making cycling something that connects people, regardless of background or skill level." Her words hinted at her past, where formative challenges had honed her steel resolve, steered her towards advocacy for grassroots development in the sport. She had once been a young athlete herself, skeptical of the exclusivity that often permeated competitive arenas. Her burgeoning distaste for inequality had fueled the fire that built her business and spurred her philanthropic endeavors. As they conversed, details of Violet's formative years in cycling unfurled through brief anecdotes shared between announcements. Stories of her modest beginnings on local trails struck chords with many listening, echoing a universal truth: accomplishment transcends aesthetics. "When I started out," Violet mentioned, "I didn't have the shiniest gear or top-tier coaching, just the drive and a steadfast love for the ride itself. Which is why this role means so much. It allows me to combine passion with purpose, challenging perceptions, and widening access in this sport." Behind her unassuming narrative lay several accolades, illustrating her as one who did more than just succeed. She transformed norms and team dynamics through grounded humility and strategic foresight. Her critical role within international cycling circuits added weight to her presence, yet it was her relatable backstory that earned authentic admiration from the local community today. Her markedly casual attire, an initial cause for dismissive views, was thereby revealed as an emblem of her intent to remain relatable and attentive to those around her. By meeting the race team unguardedly, she had seen truth unfurl, an honest reflection of behavior that often revealed the character beyond protocol. Meanwhile, murmurs had begun to circulate among the volunteers and staff, interpreting the nuanced narrative behind her dusty sneakers and unvarnished ensemble, as opposed to the flamboyant airs more commonly associated with such positions of power. An unspoken understanding pooled through the crowd: simplicity was not indicative of capability, only character. Violet's attire was no longer remarked upon with skepticism but rather with newfound respect for her approach. Her intentions were laid bare, her ideals plainly wrapped within everyday garb. The shift from prior judgment lightened the mood, enriching the community spirit under the day's golden sun, saturating its warmth with recognition for moral authenticity over outward presentation. As the race continued seamlessly, the focus shifted slightly from logistics to genuine connections among participants and supporters. The growing realization that Violet's presence embodied these ideals permeated conversations, urging many onlookers to recalibrate their perspectives, taking stock of their own interactions, their own prejudices left unchecked. Marcus, watching from a distance, felt this shift conspicuously. The same eyes that had once appraised Violet with judgment now fixated on him with an altogether different scrutiny. As he pondered his next steps, his earlier bravado replaced by introspection, a fellow organizer nudged him gently. "Marcus, seems like now's a good time to make things right," she advised, her voice gentle but firm. "Violet's clearly invested in this community, and I believe she's the forgiving type. Think it's worth having that chat?" He nodded, appreciation mingling with apprehension. Approaching her while absorbing the race's thematic elements, one of resilience, determination, and mutual respect, he rehearsed his lines internally, laying bare his intent for dialogue, for acknowledgement, and for change. As the race crescendoed into a lively climax, Marcus approached Violet once more at the edge of the stage. With the mid-afternoon light casting serene patterns across their path, he met her eyes, finally offering the contrition he'd contemplated throughout the day's proceedings. "Violet, I owe you an apology," Marcus began candidly. His demeanor was one of earnest discomfiture, yet refreshingly genuine. "I didn't make the best first impression this morning. I judged too quickly, and unfairly. Everything you've done today, it's inspiring." Violet listened, her expression open yet wary of perfunctory remorse. But the sincerity in Marcus's voice, coupled with the humility in his stance, invited a dialogue she decided not to shy away from. "Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate you reaching out," Violet replied, her tone warm but firm. "We all have moments to learn from. What matters is how we choose to grow beyond them. There's a lot of work that can only thrive with respect for everyone's contributions." Their conversation stretched into shared insights and common goals, as they both moved past opening volleys toward mutual understanding. An unexpected partnership formed, flavored by unanticipated camaraderie, a coalition poised to steward this event with both sincerity and success. With the day nearly done, the race finally winding down into satisfied post-race gathering and shared elation between cyclists and organizers, Violet surveyed the venue. The lasting changes she intended to introduce were gaining a foothold, the day's experiences ripe with lessons for both herself and the team. Her final words as the race sponsor encapsulated the camaraderie she cherished and cultivated, the true essence of what cycling meant to her and the wider community. A brief but poignant address acknowledged the collaborative spirit and resilience thread through each individual's efforts. Violet's approachability had ordered meaningful changes in how differences were understood, a shift toward kindness, enabling an environment where respect was earned not through appearance or roles defined, but through understanding and support for all. As celebrations erupted across the race venue, the day's events etched enduring impressions in the minds of all who bore witness to their deeper significance, a race transformed not by mere speed, but by the potential unlocked when first impressions evolved into something more profound. As the last rays of the afternoon sun began to dip below the horizon, a sense of fulfillment settled over the bustling race venue. Participants gathered in triumphant clusters, exchanging stories of their experiences and relishing the day's challenges and camaraderie. The end of the race marked a collective victory not just for the cyclists, but for everyone involved in the event. Amidst the joyful din and spontaneous celebrations, Marcus found himself reflecting on the day's events and his earlier transgressions. His conversation with Violet had offered more than just a reprieve. It opened the possibility of a new collaboration rooted in mutual respect and understanding. Marcus realized he had a long way to go, but was ready to embrace the path of growth that lay ahead. The repercussions from his earlier behavior came swiftly but fairly. Later that afternoon, he had been reassigned from overseeing logistics to a more supportive role for the remainder of the event. While the decision stung, it was clear that this was not a punishment, but a chance to realign his priorities and gain insights from a different perspective. The race director's instructions had been firm: focus on supporting the event, observe, learn, and, most importantly, contribute meaningfully to the team effort. Marcus took the advice to heart, stepping into his new role with humility and commitment. He found unexpected gratification in assisting volunteers and collaborating closely with other staff in ensuring everything went smoothly. The experience was cathartic, a reminder of the strength found in teamwork and the importance of stepping out of leadership's limelight to appreciate the contributions of every individual. Throughout the evening, the air brimmed with a renewed sense of kinship among the race team. Conversations were more inclusive, laced with understanding and a shared sense of purpose, fundamentally altered by the day's unfolding revelations. Staff members, moved by Marcus's change in demeanor and his efforts to make amends, were quick to support his endeavors toward growth. Violet moved seamlessly among the crowd, her presence charismatic yet comforting, speaking with participants and staff alike. Her leadership had left an indelible mark on everyone, not just through authoritative decree, but through the quiet strength of her actions and the sincerity of her interactions. The core of her philosophy was now intertwined with the event's legacy, imbued within every race day gesture and every supporting conversation. As the evening came to a close, Violet encountered Marcus once again, positioned this time beside the refreshment stand, handing out energy bars and congratulating each cyclist on their performance with genuine warmth. The scene painted a stark contrast to the morning's initial confrontation, the progress striking in its clarity. It was a quiet testament to personal redemption, a narrative arc remolded by awareness and action. "Looks like you've had a busy day," Violet observed with a knowing smile, approaching him amidst the thinning crowd. "Thank you for stepping up and lending a hand today. It means a lot to the team, and I believe to you as well." Marcus nodded, his eyes meeting hers sincerely. "I appreciate the opportunity you gave me, Violet," he admitted. "Today's been a lesson in perspectives and understanding. I guess I needed this reminder that respect and leadership are built from the ground up." Violet acknowledged his words with a light pat on his shoulder, a gesture that echoed her faith in second chances. Her composure during their exchange highlighted her integral approach to leading by example, fostering growth through collaboration rather than hierarchy. Their interaction ended amicably, resolving the day's emotional arc with a quiet understanding often reserved for those who had traversed challenges together, emerged changed, and saw the value in extending the chain of respect onward. The final victory lap belonged as much to Violet as it did to everyone involved in the event. When she stepped back from Marcus, it was with the assured poise of someone who knew she had forged something lasting, both within herself and the dynamics of those she influenced. The ethos of change had taken root across the venue, promising to flourish through each future endeavor, carrying her signature spark. With the last clusters dispersing and the sun finally setting, Violet took one more leisurely stroll through the spacious grounds. The path opened wide to her presence, weaving a narrative of timeless possibility echoed by her footsteps, each step symbolic of authority imbued with kindness, each greeting exchanged a cipher for future collaboration. As she glanced back, the simplest smile graced her features, reflecting a quiet confidence that this was only the beginning, a single race that had initiated transformative waves destined to redefine their cycling community. Violet's departure from the venue was not one of closure, but of assured and inspired continuation, with every heart and mind she touched extending the commitment to progress she so passionately championed. In conclusion, what began as a day marked by judgment and misinterpretation, evolved into an enduring testament of introspection, fellowship, positive change, and personal accountability. Violet Brooks left behind a legacy not just of a successful race but of enlightened leadership, seamlessly uniting determination with empathy and ambition with inclusivity. As the night descended and Marcus, along with the team, began packing up, each considered ways to carry forward the values unveiled that transformative day.